Hello, this is Wes Bridle, and this is another Kingdom Calling Economic Update video. All these videos are short updates to tell you what's been going on in the economy over the last month and what it looks like is going to be happening next. The short updates, though, are the follow-on to the Coming Storm video. There's a link to watch that for free right near this video, and that's really important because it shows you big picture what's going on and how you need to prepare yourself and your family. Jumping into the Economy 3 video here. Solyndra, you've probably heard about this, a San Francisco solar panel company. One of the big investors in Solyndra is a huge Obama supporter, and so he gave then candidate Obama large amounts of money to win the presidency. Once he won the presidency, he gave Solyndra $535 million of loan guarantees. So do you see how socialism works? You have some money, I don't know how much he gave him, but, say he gives $1 million to President Obama, then once he has power, he gives $535 million of your money back to this company. So hey, it's a win-win for the Solyndra guy, it's a win-win for Obama. Problem is you paid for it, and you paid for it in a much larger way than either of these people put money in. That's socialism. That's, people think this is a great system, but that's what happens every time. When you put these people in this power to control these purse strings, that's what they do with it. It happens every single time. So what happened? Solyndra's out of business, and that $535 million goes up in smoke. FBI is now involved in looking into it. I don't know what will happen there, but that's not really shocking. But it's just a fact of what we knew would happen every time before it happens. This isn't new with Obama. This happens all the time, everywhere. There's 0 new jobs in August in the U.S. We now have the same number of jobs in the U.S. as the U.S. had in January of 2000. The U.S. has probably 15 million more people now than we had in January of 2000, but the same number of jobs in this country. U.S. Postal Service is about to default, go under, have radical change because, again, they have unions massively in this country. I heard a rumor, I think I even tweeted the article, but a lot of times I tweet them before I read them. And when I read it, it didn't seem for sure legitimate enough to really, well, I guess I'm talking about it. I wasn't planning on talking about it. But there's a rumor that they're planning on unionizing the U.S. military, and supposedly they have a source from within the White House. That's such a ridiculous, horrible idea. Even FDR, back when he was bringing all this socialism into the United States, the United States government, he made comments about having a union in a government position is totally immoral and wrong. The whole idea of unions, now this isn't what they really are, but this is what they say they are. The whole idea of unions is to save people. This is sort of like a government institution saving people from nasty, evil employers. Well, if a union is saving people from the government, how does that even make any sense? And yet, more and more the government has become very unionized. The problem is that the unions got big here for a long, long time, for decades, in a lot of manufacturing areas across the United States, but they started killing those areas of the economy. So those areas of the economy started dying, and those jobs started going overseas, and the economy in this country shifted to other type of work. Well, since the unions were dying there, they started getting into the government. Well, it's a lot harder to kill the government. To kill the government, you basically have to kill the whole country, and they're getting very close to accomplishing that. Not to say it's like an evil plot to take down the country, they're just out for their own interest. But their interests are diametrically opposed to the interest of the country. And so we see that as a microcosm in the U.S. Postal Service. Even though the U.S. Postal Service has pretty much a monopoly on delivering mail and then moving mail from person to person. Yes, they have a difficult time with technology. Emails replaced a lot of mail, and online bill pays replaced a lot of mail. Still, to get mail from one person to another, the easiest, best way to do it is still the U.S. Postal Service. We got rid of a lot of monopolies in this country because that was considered to be too unfair an advantage. The U.S. Postal Service has a monopoly, so they should be thriving. And yet, because the unions are just killing the Postal Service by sucking way too much money into the Postal Service. I think the Postal Service, I reported on this months ago, if I remember correctly, the average person makes $70,000 or $100,000 with the Postal Service, which is nice. Good for you if you're one of them making that, but because these unions, if you provide that much value and you as an individual should get that, then great, they should give it to you. But when you have unions demanding it for all the people, it's sucking the life out of the Postal Service, and it's just killing it. So that's just a microcosm of what's happening in this country, and looks like they'll have to be bailed out here at some point. All-time low in U.S. Treasuries. So again, it's another sign of difficult times ahead in the economy. The Treasuries are going for ridiculously low levels. Really, if that's your idea of safety, you have a crazy idea of safety, because if you buy a 10-year U.S. Treasury today and you just hold it for 10 years and think you're going to get your money back, that's a fool's errand. But the market's not real sure what to do, and so that's what people are doing, and so they're at an all-time low. Jeffrey Gundlach, who's one of the smartest bond traders in the world, says corporate bond world looks broken. It's doing funny things. It's again a sign of really difficult times in the economy. September is historically the weakest month of the year for the stock market. So it'll be interesting. We're about halfway through as I make this video. It's interesting to see how the month ends up. We had August was a really bad year. A lot of what's been going on in the last year or two, things are not happening in their historical month because things are pretty peculiar and crazy. October is famous for crashes, but it's also tends to be a time when there's inflection points, and so economy will turn around in October, or not the economy, but the stock market. So, it'll be interesting to see if we see a turnaround. I think personally that the stock market has a lot farther to fall eventually to reach its low. I have no idea. If Europe all crumbles this month, next month, this year, then I see new lows in the stock market this year. If they kind of put a band-aid on it and we push off in the next year, well, maybe we'll see the stock market rise up for a few more months to see an even bigger crash next year. I think that was Zumwalt's prediction. Makes sense. I mean, I have no way of knowing that. But just want to give you some history on the market and where I think we are. Wall Street factoid. So with all bad economic news, and you have all these Wall Street firms that are looking at different companies and giving buy or sell ratings, there's not one of the S&P 1500 stocks, 1500 biggest companies in America, has a consensus sell rating. Not one of them. So with all the bad economic news, Wall Street can't agree on one company that's a bad company to own. There's very few that even have a sell recommendation at all. There's out of those 1,500 companies, you combine all the Wall Street firms that follow them, there's 20,000 recommendations. Only 167 of them are a sell rating. It's a tiny, tiny number. But Wall Street is paid by these companies. So they're not going to tell you the truth. They want to say what these companies want you to hear. That's just our system that we have right now, so you should be aware of it. Longshoremen on the West Coast being thugs and hooligans, going around destroying property, beating people up, holding people hostage. I talked about this in the London video, the riots there, but we saw stuff in Wisconsin. We're seeing more and more places all around the country. Chicago, there's some Baltimore. This is going on more and more around here. Our media kind of makes light of it, but this is a serious sign to keep in mind. Jim Rickards made a great point. Typically, interest rates, currency exchange rates, and stocks all balance each other out. So if one's going up, another's going down. It's a system where the market naturally moves to create a balance in the system. However, you have governments, the U.S. government and all around the world, that are manipulating these things. So they're manipulating interest rates, keeping them super low. They're manipulating currency exchange rates. Everyone wants to have a lower value. And so they're keeping these things pegged to low values. Well, what's left? The stock market is left to be extremely volatile. When you don't allow natural balance to come in, you're going to have volatility, and that's what we're seeing in the stock market, and I think it's going to get even worse. Okay, Zero Hedge showed that the cost of President Obama's stimulus plan is $312,500 per job. It's quite a bargain. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, if you haven't seen the Coming Storm video, there's a link to do so for free right next to this video. Thank you for watching. God bless you.